and welcome to this new video. In this video we are going to do a reading vlog because I have a few books on my physical DBR, and the last few days I have been thinking that I don't have a book on my TBR that will make me feel things. I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but I don't know. I just feel like none of these books are speaking to me. So this video is going to be a mission to find a book that will be good to me. I don't know. And just get some books off my TBR, which is also a pretty good goal. I have been thinking though that I want to read The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez or Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, because I posted a question box on my stories on my Instagram a few weeks ago, asking for book recommendations that are similar to The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, or like a good mystery, because it's been a long time since I've read a good mystery. So I asked for a few recommendations, and people actually said the Debutante series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I actually have them on my TBR, which is a sign. But I don't know if I'm in the mood for a mystery or just going to go with a romance again. So let's figure that out. I finished Little White Lies yesterday and I wanted to update then, but I finished it the minute I had to leave. So I'm going to do it now. I have a few things to say. These are very short chapters, which obviously is very much appreciated. It has a lot of fun things, like these little pictures in the beginning of the book, which you don't really, I think it's like in the first few chapters, and then at some point it ends, like they end, the pictures. And at the beginning of the book you don't even realize what they are, but you're still intrigued about what they mean. And then during the book you realize that they are entries of a certain website. Which isn't a spoiler because the website is on top of the picture. Also, it has two timelines. The present, it starts April 15th, like that's the present, and then you go back to, it starts 9 months earlier, and then 8.5 months earlier, and then April 15th again. You know, every time you go back to April 15th, when you finish the chapter of April 15th, you go back in time to like reveal the story, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that's one way to say it, but every time you finish a chapter of April 15th, you go back in time and read what happened that made them be there at that moment on April 15th. I do think this book could have been a bit shorter. It's a really long book. 388 pages. I don't know, I feel like it could have been a bit shorter, not a lot, but a bit. It's a typical rich people drama with secrets and, you know, all of that. Also, I had a lot of problems, not really, I wouldn't really say problems, but trouble with remembering every name and how they were related to the main character. That just might be me. But still, it was a fun book. It is about Sawyer, who is an 18-year-old car mechanic, and she gets an offer from her estranged grandmother, where she gets offered $500,000 to participate in the debutante season, and she can use that to reveal her biological father's identity, which she doesn't know him. She only knows that he didn't want a scandal, he doesn't like fish, and something else, but I forgot. So along the journey of the Debutante series and like other things happening in the book, you also get on this adventure with Sawyer to get to know who her biological father is, which is cool. I don't know if I would give it 3 or 4 stars. I'm kind of leaning towards 3. But I am going to read the second book today, because now that I am at like the plot twists, like in the mood of this book, I don't want to get out of it and let this one lay on my nightstand for a few months. Like, I want to read it and get to know, you know. Anyways, I don't know if this all makes sense, like everything I have to say about this book, but it is, I don't know if I would say that it's better than I expected, because I didn't really have any expectations going into the book. So I'm going to start reading book 2, Deadly Little Scandals, and I'll report to you back when I'm done, or halfway, I don't know, probably done. Anyways, bye! Okay, hi. Little updates. I have 100 pages left in Deadly Little Scandals. And I'm so confused, because I was thinking like a minute ago, how will I explain what this book is about? Because honestly, I don't have a single clue. But I have 100 pages to go. So I'll just keep reading. I am in a mood to take a day to like catch up on my book journaling, because it's been probably since I set up my reading journal that I've taken the time to like update it with covers and write things in it and make pages and stuff. And honestly, I feel like I just want to take a day to like do that. But I don't know. But anyways, let's just keep reading. finished. I still have no idea how to tell you what this book was about because I simply don't really have a clue. But the story just continues from book one, and more secrets are revealed, more plot twists are revealed, more twists and turns than you would have expected. I don't know exactly how to explain this. There are so many twists and plot twists that you just are like shocked that you might have seen in like the time lapse. But this was insane. I did really not like vibe with it the way I vibed with most of the other books from Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And even during this book, I was still confused and didn't know like the family trees and stuff because there are a lot of characters and a lot of different families. And the way this story goes, you would easily switch things up, which isn't really the best thing. But even after all, it's still a good, fine book, a mystery with plot twists. I don't know if there's anything more I can say. Yeah, the fact that I just was so confused with different families and different last names, and the fact that everything just kept switching up was a little confusing to me. But anyways, it was fine, and I've now finished this book. I'm going to give Little White Lies 3 stars, and I'm going to give Deadly Little Scandals 3 stars. I don't know if it's the reading slump, I don't know if it's just me and the low energy, but yeah, I didn't really vibe with it. I am not going to read anything more today, but I am going to read tomorrow, I think. And I'll probably read The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez so that I can read Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez after that one. And then the books on my nightstand are down to 2, which is sad, but yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow, I guess. Yeah, bye. Okay, hi. Sorry for the lightning. It's already in the evening, but I just finished the book and I remembered that I didn't film a single thing, so I quickly made some clips, but I don't have a lot of footage, so sorry. But the book I read was The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. It's the first book in a series of interconnected standalones. The second book is the Happy Ever After playlist, and the third book is Life's Too Short. I've read this one a few months ago actually. Didn't know it was part of a series. And these have been, this one and like the third book, have been sitting on my TBR, physical TBR, for a really long time now. So, you know, I think it was time to read them. So the story is about Kristen and Josh, and the story starts when they get into a car accident. Like, Kristen slams on the brakes and Josh drives in the back of her car. with his truck. I don't know how to explain it. So he is on the way to his new job because he just moved from South Dakota, I think it was, to where he lives now, to where he moved to. I don't know where it was. But yeah, he's on the way to his new job at the fire station where his best friend Brandon also works. And Brandon is engaged to Sloane, and Sloane is, so there are some other people that you also get to know in the story. And fun fact, Sloane is actually the female main character of the second book. But I'm not going to say a lot more because that's a spoiler. So yeah, so Josh drives to his new job and then he sees Brandon and then suddenly Kristen is there too, and he discovers that Kristen is Sloane's best friend, which is Brandon's fiance, which is his own best friend. So it's like two friends. But Kristen and Josh aren't friends yet. And Kristen has her own business where she makes chairs for dogs to get into bed or couches. But her carpenter quit his job. So Sloane is like, you know what? Why doesn't Josh help you? So Josh helps her build the chairs in her garage. And they have this connection where they really like vibe with each other and have a good connection. But Kristen also has a medical condition that makes it impossible for her to have children, and she is planned to do a surgery to have her uterus removed. I'm not really sure about the name of the surgery anymore. But Josh came from a huge family, so they end up talking, Kristen and Josh mentions that he wants a lot of kids of his own, that he isn't really looking for adopting kids, but that he wants kids of his own, which is cool, great. So every time they get closer and closer and closer again, they end up having a friends with benefits agreement, but Kristen is like, I can't have kids. I'm not going to tell Josh that, but I am going to tell him that. And she tells him this, and I quote, I am only going to do a friends with benefits. This isn't going to turn into anything more. I can't do that. And if you can't do that either, then we'll just be friends, but there are nothing more than friends with benefits in it for me. So Josh agrees, thinking that he is going to be able to change her mind. So they obviously get closer, and every time they get closer, Josh mentions that he wants to have kids, and she is like, I can't give him that, so I have to keep my distance because I don't want to take that away from him. So, obviously it's a lot of emotional things in this book. There's also a sad thing at the ending of the book. It's not about the two main characters, but it does happen, so I thought that I should mention it. It's just a sad thing, honestly. I love the way that this book talked about her problems with her condition, which adds to the realism of the book and is great. It was well written, in my opinion. I'm not really an expert at the medical things and different conditions, so it's not really things that I'm sure other people would also be thinking that it was well written and well explained and well, done. But I thought, in my personal opinion, that it was okay. It was amazing. I find it so good that she didn't change her mind, even when people asked her to. So that was also really amazing. I like the author's note at the ending of the book, which makes sense, and I like what it says. So if you read this book, read the author note at the ending too. I did quite enjoy this book. I read it in 2 days, which is honestly amazing. So I am going to give it 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite book of hers, but also not my least favorite. So actually, I don't dislike a single book of her. I have one to go, and then there's another one releasing next week. From Abby Jimenez, and I have one to go, which I'm going to start tomorrow. But I haven't read a single book by her. A single bad book from her, which is amazing. I love that. Also, if you didn't know, she has like a bakery, Nadia Cakes, and there's a little cameo from Nadia Cakes in the book, which I love, which is just a little detail, but love that. So 3 stars. I liked it. Anyway, so I think the male main character from this book is related to Josh from The Friend Zone in any way. I don't know which one exactly, but it's a, I think, single parent, because her half-sister suddenly leaves Vanessa in custody of her baby daughter. Life goes from daily adventure to hourly nappy change. So they're neighbors. And he has a chihuahua, so great. Anyway, I'm going to start this one tomorrow. I'm going to do something different now. And we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to try to make more footage of me reading this book. Okay, hi. Don't mind my hair. I don't know what it's doing, but it's living a life on its own. Anyway, I just finished Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. And what a roller coaster. I do want to say that I feel like it's a good book. I love the book. But I feel like my reading slump is kicking me hard. It took me a long time to like fully get into the story, and that didn't mean that I had trouble reading because I read like 200 pages yesterday alone. Constantly read it, didn't pick up my phone a single time. But I did have like a hard time to get into the story. I do love the way that the characters were like meeting and had this connection and like friendship. It was a slow burn, definitely a slow burn, but I loved it, and the way the characters were written is beautiful. Abby Jimenez is one of the most talented writers in that way, in my opinion. She gives every character of hers a special thing and makes them unique and realistic. Vanessa Price quit her job to pursue her dream of traveling the globe. She gained millions of followers. She has multiple family members that have ALS, and she is having some symptoms that makes her think that she is having ALS too. And she doesn't want to like seek treatment for it. She doesn't want to spend years in the hospital because she has to make sure that it's not something else, because ALS is not like, you can't get like diagnosed. They have to do multiple tests and exclude other things that you may have to make sure that you have ALS. But she doesn't want to do that, so she is living her life in fear, but also making the best of her life. Enjoying every day like it's the last day, but also making sure, you know, and being safe. I love the way, again, the characters were written. It's so amazing. I love the way that they have, you know, the connection, because they were there for each other. She taught him, Adrian, a lot of lessons, like enjoy every day. He is a workaholic and is a lawyer, so she's like telling him, sorry for all the cars driving by the way, she's like telling him, you have to enjoy living more because life's too short. And there's this beautiful quote that she tells in her last YouTube video. I hope you find someone who can give you the lifetime of memories that I can, because you deserve it. Don't ever forget the things I taught you. Life's too short. It is too fucking short. Eat the cake, take the vacation, dance in the rain, and don't do anything that's going to break your heart. Like, I love that. I love that. But yeah. Anyways, I'm going to give it, I think, 4 stars, because the ending really like took me. I just realized that I didn't even tell you what the book is about. It's about Vanessa, who gets custody of her sister's daughter, so she's taking care of that girl. And the story starts when Adrian, her neighbor, comes knocking on her door and asks her to like make a stop because he has work the day after and an important trial, I think it was, so he has to sleep. And she's like, well, I don't know if you noticed, but it's not a thing that I can turn off. It's human, and it doesn't have an on and off button. So he offers to help her the moment they met, actually, like they met, and he's like, well, I want to help you, give me the baby, you can go take a shower because there's literally vomit in your hair. And he's like, she's like doubting if it's a good idea, but she accepts anyway because obviously he's a lawyer. She knew him, like she knew his reputation and saw him walking in the hallway of the apartment building. So she was like, well, okay, he's a lawyer, so I think it would be fine. Don't judge her. Don't judge her, please. So he's like, go take a shower. I'll be fine. I'll take care of her. She tries to think of reasons why she's crying, and actually discovers the reason why she's crying. So when Vanessa gets out of the shower and hears nothing, not a single noise in her apartment, she's like full on panicking, throws a towel around her, walks into the living room and sees her baby napping. Like, what? It's a baby whisperer. There's also a cameo of a dog, which I love. And yeah, anyway, it's just a story. I feel like it's so beautiful and really shows like the true and realistic things about ALS, which you wouldn't really expect in a book. But I love it like this. So 4 stars, and that is the ending of the video, actually. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It's completely free. It would help my channel so much. I would appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, so we can chat, and I'll see you guys at the next video next week, actually. Bye.